7 weeks in, 7 weeks of MLS action, and the cream is starting to rise to the top. What's up? My name is Adrian, and welcome to Rabona TV's MLS Review. I'm sure you know by now, but in case you're new around here, this is the show where we look at all of the highlights and lowlights of the weekend's MLS action. Now this week, there's a major emphasis on weekend action, as I won't be able to go into the midweek matches from last week. I'm just one guy here, and there was like 11 matches this weekend alone, so I'm sorry if your team played midweek matches, I won't be talking about them. But yeah, if you're an MLS fan or just a fan of football in general, then hit that subscribe button to keep in touch with us. Alright, another MLS weekend, another instance where Montreal plays the first match of the weekend, and another weekend where Montreal loses. Never change, MLS, never change. Except maybe change the Impact's Cabrera for a decent center back, as he played a beautiful pass to New York's Valet, who threaded it through to BWP to score after just 4.5 minutes. Great. Another weekend of early goals, by the way. Keep that in mind for the rest of the episode. A little hope was given in the 32nd minute when Jason Vargas hit a peach of a free kick in off the post. 5-man wall and Luis Robles in goal? No problem. Vargas has been threatening to score a free kick all season, so it's nice to see him bury one. And it was probably nice for Red Bulls fans to see Kaku bury one in the 56th minute. Poor Evan Bush, by the way. He played well in this match, definitely the top performer for the Impact, but there was nothing he could do for all of the goals, especially Kamar Lawrence's squared ball that went through the six, running through the six, and found Michael Murillo all alone for a tap-in, 3-1. Montreal definitely should have had a penalty in the 84th minute, in my opinion, when Daniel Lovitz was shouldered from behind, but it may not have made a difference anyways. To me, it looked like it was from behind, but the referee said it was shoulder to shoulder. Okay, what do you guys think? Because like I said, in my opinion, which is probably biased, it looks like a penalty. Next, Colorado Rapids got their second win of the season as they defeated a team from Toronto. It wasn't Toronto FC though, it was just a bunch of guys wearing Toronto jerseys. No Giovinco, no Altidore, no Vasquez, no Bono, no Bradley, etc, etc, etc. Vanny made 10 changes to the Toronto starting 11 in order to preserve his players for the upcoming CONCACAF Champions League final. The first leg is tomorrow, by the way, so you won't want to miss that. This is the MLS's best shot at winning the CONCACAF Champions League in a long time. So anyways, Colorado got started early in this match as Jack Price scored his first goal for the Rapids after just 78 seconds. That must have had the Toronto fans prepping for a long match, but the kids that they fielded did all right. Sure, they didn't look threatening in the attack, but they held it down well, all things considered. They had more of the possession than Colorado and almost the same amount of shots as Colorado's first team. And Colorado's second came courtesy of a shoulder to the back. Interesting. So it was given here, but not in the Montreal match. And this one was even weaker than the Montreal claim. All right, sure. But Albanian boy wonder Shkelzen Gashi put away the penalty, and that was about that, folks. So 7 weeks into this season, Toronto is still in the bottom three, but I mean, as soon as the CONCACAF Champions League is wrapped up, they'll surge towards the top. Colorado, on the other hand, it's hard to judge them based on this match, considering the opposition they were up against wasn't representative of the true Toronto FC. But hey, they're winning matches, and for now, that's all that matters. And forever, that's all that matters, to be honest with you. What else is there but winning matches in football? Okay, Chicago versus the Galaxy, and the city of Chicago was kind enough to mimic the weather of England to help Zlatan acclimate even more to the MLS. It was ugly weather and an ugly win for LA. In fact, they put the ball into the back of the net twice in the first 10 minutes, but Ola Kamara was offside both times. Chicago didn't really show up for this match, at least in the first half, where they only had one attempt on goal. Then in first half stoppage time, the MLS equivalent of Aspilicueta crossing to Alvaro Morata struck as Ashley Cole curled a ball into the box that Zlatan nodded home after losing his marker a little too easily, to be honest with you. Chicago played a lot better in the second half, and with some great distribution by one of the stars of the match, the weather wind I'm talking about, they caused problems for LA's back line, but ultimately couldn't grab a goal. So it ended 1-0 Galaxy. Zlatan has 3 goals in 3 games, 2 of which were game-winning goals, which is not a bad start for him. And with a proper target man, it has brought out the best of the LA Galaxy captain Ashley Cole, as he has had 2 assists, both to Zlatan, in the 3 matches since his arrival. So Chicago get their 3rd loss of the season, while LA moves into 2nd place in the West with their 3rd win. After starting the season so strongly, Columbus continued to stutter for the 3rd match running as they went away to a fairly weak, no offense, DC United side and ended up losing 1-0 at the Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Yet another weird venue that DC is playing at while they work on their own stadium. Remember how I said this was a weekend of early goals, by the way? Still remember that? Well, I wasn't kidding, as Segura scored after just 44 seconds for DC, with a driven volley into the bottom right of Zach Steffen's goal. That was DC's first win of the season as they sit in 9th still, while Columbus are still holding on to 4th in the East thanks to the success of their initial 3 matches. The New England Revolution, the team that I said would, quote, have a very long season ahead of them, hosted FC Dallas, a team that I didn't really have an opinion about them at the beginning of the season, but a team that was unbeaten going into this match. Speaking of going into this match, New England were unbeaten in their last 4 matches, with 3 of those 4 matches being wins. So they're shutting me up real quick. And it was the visitors with the best early chance in this one, as Matt Turner made a point-blank save from a Christian Coman header. Matt Turner has been one of the best goalkeepers in the league thus far, by the way, and he was really put to work in this match. And that's not to say his adversary at the other end, Jimmy Maurer, had an easy night, as this was a pretty evenly matched game that saw chances go to both teams. However, Dallas was the only team to take one of said chances, and they got it through Yakori Hayes, finishing off a squared ball from Lama in the 76th minute. And 1 goal is all it would take to preserve Dallas's unbeaten run so far this season, as they maintain a record of 2 wins and 3 draws. Starting to even out that unbeaten record now with a few wins, you know, make it a little less dorky, less of a nobody can beat us and we can't beat anyone either. The Portlandia Timbers went searching for their first win of the season on Saturday as they hosted the Minnesota Loons. Minnesota United, the Loons. And 19 minutes in, Alvis Powell went on a mazy run that started at the center line and ended with a near post smash. 1-0. And he wasn't done there, as 3 minutes later he sent a cross into the box that Diego Valeri somehow wrapped his foot around to massage it into the far post. 2-0 Timbers, and that was Valeri's 3rd goal of the season so far, and he's looking great again this season. 4 minutes later, Minnesota scored, but Ibarra was ruled to be offside. Fun fact. That's pretty useless, actually. I used to always sign Ibarra as a free agent for Montreal in like FIFA 15 because his pace and shit was always a boon to a slow Montreal team. So it's always funny seeing him in real life. Wow. Anyways, Minnesota would find the back of the net eventually, as in the 64th minute, their DP Darwin Quintero danced around Zarek Valentin, miss him in Montreal, and slotted it past Jake Gleason. Gleason kind of made a mess of this one in my opinion, but 10 minutes later, his team found their 3rd via a weird header from Adi. That was his 1st goal this season, to go with his 2 assists. It had been a while since Adi had scored, actually. I can't remember what the actual number of matches was, but he was due a goal. Anyways, Portland wasn't finished scoring there though, as center back Bill Tioma dinked the ball over his own keeper in the 81st minute to make for a nervy finish to the match. But the Timbers held on to win 3-2, their 1st win this season after 6 matches played. A little late drama in the San Jose versus Houston match as substitute Yamir Haika scored an 85th minute equalizer in what was his 1st appearance of this season for the Quakes. Prior to that, however, Magnus Eriksson scored his 2nd MLS goal in the 26th minute when his low-driven effort found the bottom corner of the Houston net. San Jose continued to dominate in the first half, but in the second, the tides turned, and they turned early, with Tomas Martinez's deflected effort finally making its way past Tarbell to tie the game up. In the 63rd, it was Martinez and Elise back at it again as Elise's driven cross was guided in by the onrushing Mauro Manotas. From there, Houston really took control of the game, but as mentioned earlier, the entrance of Yamir Haika made the difference as his deflected effort found the back of the net in the 85th. And they were lucky not to get a winner in stoppage time actually, as Jefferson Quintana headed over the bar from 6 yards out. Opportunity at 3 points missed. These 2 teams actually have identical records, with 1 win and 2 losses and 2 draws apiece. Oh, Seattle, a team yet to score a goal this season who will be without Jordan Morris for the entirety of said season, and has been without Clint Dempsey for a few matches as well. I just said Clint Dempsey when I meant Clint Dempsey. And the match started kind of alright for the goalless, pointless Seattle Sounders, until Tolo fouled the shifty Johnny Russell in the 33rd minute, and Ilie Sanchez popped in the penalty. 1-0 to the hosts. But in first half stoppage time, Will Bruin headed the ball off the bar. From the resulting throw-in, Will Bruin was able to poke the ball through Miola's legs. I can't even say it right, I'm so excited. Seattle's 1st goal of this season in their 4th match. Attaboy Bruin. And Bruin played a big part in Seattle's second goal. Yes, they scored twice in one match, as he latched onto Lodero's through ball, cut inside, and played it off to Christian Roldan, who smashed it into the bottom corner. Seattle winning? What? Well, I mean, they were, but only for about 5 minutes, as Graham Zusi snuck in down the right and went largely unchallenged by Tolo before slipping it past Stefan Fry. This was a super weird goal. Tolo is definitely a weak spot for Seattle, or at least he was in this match. And as for their other weak spot up front, Will Bruin was at the center of both goals, so that's encouraging signs for them if he can keep up his performances like he did in this match. A fairly even match, and I think both teams would be relatively happy with the result. Emphasis on relatively though, if you're an SKC fan. Everyone knows that Seattle was playing below their potential anyways, I think. Et finalement, we have Atlanta United hosting NYCFC, the battle of the top teams in the East. Besides the weird drubbing that Atlanta took at the hands of Houston on the opening weekend of MLS action, they've had a perfect record of 4 wins from 4 matches since. Plus, Atlanta had 3 wins from their first 3 home matches. And NYCFC, they've done just as well, with 5 wins and a draw from their opening 6 matches. And it was the hosts who opened the scoring via Greg Garza, tapping in a Miguel Almiron rebound. This was a fast and furious match, by the way, if you were lucky enough to have watched it. I'm sure you didn't regret it. Especially seeing NYCFC's build-up play to eventually being awarded a penalty when Joe Burgett was brought down. David Villa, who didn't start this match, by the way, but replaced an injured Tajuri, converted the penalty. His second goal this season, and he's back from injury now. And boy, is he better than ever. Just 2 minutes later, Darlington Nagbe put the hosts ahead with a driven shot from outside the box, but it was brought back due to the fact that Joseph Martinez was in an offside position, standing right in front of Sean Johnson and impeding the play. He even got a little bump in on Johnson, actually. To be honest with you, Joseph Martinez kind of seems like an asshole. In the second half, Miguel Almiron continued to exhibit why he may just be an early contender for MLS MVP this season, as he drove to the byline and chipped the ball back to the top of the 6 for Chris McCann to head past Johnson. That goal stood, but it was NYCFC's time to make a move. Chances continued to be traded back and forth until David Villa did well to hold off 3 Atlanta United defenders before touching the ball back to Alex Ring. And the Finnish midfielder drove his foot through the ball and it went in off of the crossbar in the upper 90. Impossible to get. What a strike. Goal of the week for me. That was his first goal for New York, and what a first goal it was. And that, my friends, is how it would end. That was an extremely fun watch. And even Vieira and Tata enjoyed it, as evidenced by their faces and their lovely embrace at the end of the match. Heartwarming stuff. You know, those two teams are going to be battling hard throughout this season. And what I said about Joseph Martinez earlier, I mean, I kind of mean it, but it doesn't mean that I don't like the guy. There's always assholes in the game. It's part of their facade. It's just how they play. All right, I'd say it's about time that we choose a Rabona TV MLS Player of the Week award, and this one is a little bit tough, I find, because there's a few candidates. There was Will Bruin, who scored and assisted, and David Villa, who did the exact same, scoring from the penalty spot. Zlatan scored yet another winner for LA, of course, but I think this week I'm going to give it to last season's MVP, Diego Valeri, as he was at the heart and soul of Portland's first win of the season, getting both a goal and an assist for the second match running, just as he did against Orlando last week. Plus, he could have had a brace and the goal of the week, as his 30-yard screamer smashed off of the bar. So congrats to Diego Valeri, one of the best this league has ever seen, if you ask me. So, who do you think was deserving of the Rabona TV MLS Player of the Week award? Let me know in the comments section. Subscribe if you're new around here. Don't forget to introduce yourself. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm Adrian, and I'll see ya later this week. Peace.